Oscars are shortly coming up in a couple weeks, and I thought it'd be fun to kind of dive back and go back to that day when the nominations were announced and 10 of these films or people were not nominated, and these were the Oscar snubs for 2023. So let's dive into this. Make sure to leave your thoughts down below. Hit that like and subscribe, and for more movie content on a daily basis, I talk everything. Blockbusters, indies, whatever it is, whatever your cup of tea is, I guarantee I'd probably talk about it. So with that said, let's dive into this list. At my number 10, RRR. Now, I understand, I'm already going to say this. I know it was not submitted as the international film, so there's no way it could have been nominated for that due to, you know, whatever's going on over in that country. They just decided not to submit it, which is insane. But, looking at that, there was still some publicity and people still pushing and marketing this film to still get nominated in other categories, because it did get nominated for at least Best Song, Not To. It deserved that. But I also deep down think it did deserve a Best Picture nomination. Maybe even Best Director could be argued in there, or maybe even one of the performances as well. RRR is a standout action film that has every sort of genre you could possibly want. Comedy, drama, action. It has that amount of it, and it's insane to say the least. I loved RRR. It's a film that I constantly think about and go back to. It just sucks that it didn't get the love that it needed to. And honestly, I think if it was nominated for Best International Feature, if it did get that proposition, it probably would have won there as well. Now, my number 9 is probably one that maybe some of you guys don't think is a snub. I personally do, and that is Mia Goth. I think Mia Goth, for her performance in X or Pearl, whichever film you would have wanted to throw it in there, deserved that nomination, specifically when it comes down to our conversation about horror. She deserved some sort of love. I'm not saying that the films did necessarily, because I don't think the films were all that great, but even looking at some of the nominations, I mean, like After Sun, Living, they got some nominations, and those films didn't get a ton of grand love. So that's my one thing, is that I do think that when we start talking about horror performances, they always go under the radar, and Mia Goth is now added to the long line of Toni Collette and, of course, Lupita Nyong'o for Us and Hereditary and whatever you want to say. And then even we could argue Midsummer with Florence Pugh, but Mia Goth gave an excellent performance. And I think I personally liked her more in Pearl than X, but come on, she deserved something. And at my number 8, this is a film that it baffles me that it wasn't nominated for anything. That's The Northman. The Northman is like one of the best movies of last year, from a cinematography level, from a technical level, from a performance level, from an awesome badass level. It is a film that literally checks the boxes on every sort of thing that the Oscar voters could want, and I am just baffled that there was like nothing. No marketing for this film to get nominated, nothing of that nature. This is a very accessible film by, of course, Robert Eggers, which he doesn't make the most accessible movies, and I'm not saying that The Northman is the most accessible movie, but I think for the most part, most people could watch it and understand what's going on. And I look at every grandiose scale thing from this, and I'm like, this just checks all the boxes. It should have been nominated for at least cinematography, at the least, but it wasn't, and it was snubbed. My number 7 now is Nope. This is a movie that continues to work more and more that I think about it and watch it. Now, I think a couple nominations kind of come to mind. Best cinematography, easily. Everything that they were doing to actually capture the shots, hands down deserved it. I'd also go as far as visual effects. Even though Gordy was a little bit CGI, everything with the creature itself was stunning. Keke Palmer, I probably would have nominated for Best Supporting Actress, even though she technically should have been Best Actress. She deserved it. I think she gave one of my favorite performances of last year. And honestly, there's a little bit of me that thinks Jordan Peele's script deserves a little bit of love too. I think Nope is actually, the more I think about it, might be my favorite Jordan Peele film. So the fact that it wasn't even nominated really disappoints me. At my number 6 is The Batman. The Batman deserved across the board a lot more nominations, whether it's some performance nominations, whether it's Best Score, whether it's Best Cinematography. On a technical level, this movie deserved it all. And it also deserved a Best Picture nomination. I think this is one of the best films of last year. And The Batman sadly only got a few. It got like makeup, and I think it got Best Sound. I could be wrong on that, which it did get Best Sound. If it was nominated for Best Sound, it did deserve that. But The Batman is one of the most best films of last year. It was my second favorite film of last year. And the fact that out of all the movies nominated, this one deserved a little bit more love. I understand Warner Brothers was pushing more for Elvis than Batman, but I wish they would have kind of shared the love for both. Rounding out my top 5, at my number 5 is The Menu. The Menu easily just deserved a screenplay nomination at the very least. It was a very thrilling, engaging, and completely smart satire script that I completely adored and utterly fell in love with. I think, again, every time I've gone back to rewatch The Menu, it's one of those scripts that just sticks out to me in every poignant way. And as well as, if you're talking about other nominations, I think there's a discussion that Ralph Fiennes deserved a nomination for Best Supporting Actor for his performance in this film. He was absolutely terrifying, but like I mentioned with Mia Goth, the Oscars just seem to not like horror films, and his performance does dive a little bit deep into the horror realm. All I can say is if you still have not watched The Menu, you absolutely need to. And at my number 4 now, Top Gun Maverick got a lot of nominations, but there's one that I think it did kind of need, and that is Tom Cruise. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people being like, but we have a great Best Actor lineup. I will not disagree with you. I do agree with that. I think there's actually another actor that should have been in there. But looking at Top Gun Maverick's success, love, and the performance that Tom Cruise gives, I actually think that's one of his best performances of his entire career. Not saying it is his best, because he's been in a lot of great films, such as like with Paul Thomas Anderson and whatnot, that would easily go right up there. But I look at what Top Gun did. I look at his performance in there, the dedication he did, and the way that he just seamlessly went back into the body of Maverick and became that character all over again, and made you instantly forget who Tom Cruise was. It's performances like that I really was hoping that he was going to get that nomination. And I think Top Gun also deserved a Best Cinematography nomination. It's still shocking that it did not get that, but Top Gun deserved a little bit more love. I think it only got nominated for 6 or 7 awards, and it absolutely deserved a couple more. Speaking of one that got nominated for nothing, it got nominated for 3 awards. That is Babylon. At my number 3 is Babylon. Babylon deserved everything. I just do not get the hate on this movie. It deserved Best Editing. It deserved Best Director. It 1000% deserved Best Actress Margot Robbie. That was personally my favorite performance of the entire year. And on a personal bias, I just love Margot Robbie, but that was an incredible performance. I would also say Diego Calva, I would have nominated for Best Actor, even over Tom Cruise. That was the one I was hinting at. Brad Pitt honestly deserved a nomination. Every actor across the board deserves a nomination. This film was freaking incredible. It got Best Score, which that's, again, one of the best aspects of the film, so I'm thankful for that at least. But there's a lot more that I think Babylon should have came home with at least 11 nominations. My number 2 is The Woman King. It got nothing. Shocking. I know not everyone loved this movie. I personally loved it. It was one of my favorites of last year. But the fact that we didn't get Viola Davis as a nomination, Lashana Lynch as a nomination, freaking even Gina Prince Blythewood for director. There's so many baffling choices for The Woman King not to be nominated on. And I just go back and I'm like, really? That didn't get nominated? But if we're speaking on reallys, at my number 1 was arguably the best performance of last year. Actor and actress. And I say this as someone who was not a huge fan of the film. The movie's great. It was really good. But it wasn't top tier. I don't even think I would have nominated for anything else. At my number 1 is Danielle Deadwyler for Till. She broke me. That was the one performance I watched last year that broke me, that put me into tears, that absolutely knocked me on my ass. That is, hands down, the worst snub since Jake Gyllenhaal for Nightcrawler. And the definition of a snub to many people is someone who could have won. We could argue some of these, maybe they wouldn't have even won. Maybe they just deserved a nomination, sure. Danielle Deadwyler, if you have not seen Till, you need to. And then we can all have a discussion on how she should have won this. She should have been nominated and she should have won. It was the best performance of last year. I was knocked on my ass by every embodiment of power and emotion she brought to the screen. And there's one scene, one monologue she gives in court that chokes me up. Anytime I see it pop up on Twitter or YouTube, I go back and watch it. And I just feel this complete pain that she gave. And I loved that scene. I love that moment. And Danielle Deadwyler, again, I'm shocked she was not nominated. Because she should have won. She should have won. But with that said, those are my top 10 Oscar snubs for the Oscars in 2023. Make sure to look on awards night. I will be doing a reaction to each and every one of the winners right after The Last of Us finale premieres. I'm going to be watching that as well that same night. Going to be a busy night. Thank you so much again, guys, for watching this. And of course, until next time, stay classy.